Afternoon, everyone, and welcome to TPL Thursdays, our weekly TPL webinar for the busy teacher. This is a session that's going to be devoted to the Key Stage 2 Newsdesk, which you probably heard us talking before you come in, how much we appreciate the Newsdesk and how good a resource it is. As always, I would always like to suggest to anybody attending, if you feel that you can offer something to TPL Thursdays, some bit of good practice at your school or is going on in your classroom, please feel free to share it, because we're always looking for contributors, and it really isn't as daunting as it might appear. Keep it light and keep it fun, and it's just share stuff that's working for you and the children enjoy. As you can see, we're on Microsoft Teams, and because of the numbers involved in these sessions, I have got everyone's camera off and your microphones on mute. If you want to ask any questions during the session, please feel free to use the chat function, and either David or Brona will field the questions at the end. I will send everybody the screen recording, which I started just a minute ago, as well as the evaluation and Brona's PowerPoint, either on Friday or Monday, more likely, when we get it done. There will be an evaluation session at the end. Please fill that in. I've just sent back the metrics for the last quarter, which were really good, and it just helps us to grow TPL Thursdays, because really we want it to be for teachers. We also use the TPL Thursdays hashtag on Twitter, so if you want to get in touch with me, you can do that, or I will put my Twitter handle in at the end. So today we've got David Huntley from C2K Newsdesk and Brona Mason from St. McCartan's Primary School in Loughin Island talking about the Key Stage 2 Newsdesk and how they use it. So I will hand over to David and back out gracefully here and let David get started.
Jarlath, thank you very much indeed, and thank you to everyone who's joined us here this afternoon. For those of you who are sort of not completely familiar with the Newsdesk, what it really is, it's a collection of literacy, world around us, and ICT resources that have been specially created and I suppose curated for teachers to use on your interactive whiteboards in your classroom, and also for pupils to use for reading, for writing, for talking and listening activities in school, and at home. So what we hope to do today in this session is to get you a better feel of what the Newsdesk can provide for you as a classroom teacher, and even more importantly, what your pupils are going to be able to get out of it. So what I'm going to do, I'll share the screen here, and hopefully you will be able to see that the main Newsdesk here. This is the Key Stage 2 Newsdesk. The Junior Newsdesk for Key Stage 1, you flip between the two, the link up at the top there, but when it says go to Newsdesk, you will get welcome to the Newsdesk. You know you're on the right one. If you're a Key Stage 2 teacher, your pupils, in theory, when they click on My School and Newsdesk, should be directed straightly to the Key Stage 2 Newsdesk. If they're not, for any reason, just use the wee tab at the top. So what we do, obviously, we have a whole series of different articles that we produce. There's a new article comes up every day, and this one is for World Heart Day, the most important people in sport, looking at referees, and then we've got one about Scottish Wildcats. So you're going to get a different type of news feature, if you like, every day, and then there's a whole bundle of resources that are geared up to world around us topics in particular, and we'll show you how you can find those. So, I mean, in any of the articles, if you click on the article up, you put it up on your whiteboard, top tip, I suppose, is use your control and plus buttons to make the screen as big as possible, and it is as clear as possible for all the pupils to see. You've got a podcast at the top. So if you click on the podcast, you get a little sting of music. The most important people in sport. And then the narration starts. Fantastic forward. Amazing central attacking midfielder. And you can pause at any time. And there's videos you can play at the very beginning as well to get a little flavour of what's coming. So as you play through the podcast, You can scroll down, or if you're a Key Stage 2 teacher, which I take it most of you are, you can have a pupil of the week, or sort of someone who can help out, or someone who's sort of close by. Let the pupils sort of scroll down as well. So it means it frees you up either to sort of listen more carefully, or to think of questions that you want to ask after the article is finished. So you go down, you've got the podcast through each of the articles, and then at the very bottom, what you will have is article activities. In this case, it's looking at a particular picture. What do you think is happening in this picture? Do you think referees ever feel under pressure? Sort of all related to what's been happening in the particular article. And then there's a little extended piece of writing that you can do if you wish. I would imagine majority of teachers, if they're playing this, say, straight after break time, which I know a lot of teachers do, the children have been running around outside, they come in after break time, you want to do something fairly quickly that's going to settle them. So you put the news desk on, you got your little sting of music, the children are listening for that 3, 4, 5 minutes. And then if you just want to ask them sort of a couple of questions that have come up, or if they've something they want to sort of, suggest themselves afterwards, what you're doing is you're bringing a listening activity, you're bringing a talking activity in, and obviously sort of, reading as well. And if you want to just sort of, keep it to that sort of 10 minutes, that is absolutely fine. You've got the children settled, you've got them engaged in what you're doing in class, and then if you want to sort of move on after that, that is perfectly acceptable. And as for those teachers that use the news desk on a daily basis, a lot of the time, I would say that's probably the way it's used. Now, there will be occasions where, you want to do the activities either in class or at home. I mean, the whole beauty of my school is that the children can get on to my school at home using the same username and password as they do in school, c2kschools.net, their same username, the same password, and then they can get on at home. So you could have covered this article in school, and you said, right, your homework tonight is, I want you to go home, reread or re-listen to the article, and then send your own comment in. And at the end of every article, there's a send a comment section. So the pupils click on that, they type what they want to write, they put their age, my school password, and click submit. And then they all come into the back end sort of admin site, and someone from the news desk will check over it before it's published. So there's nothing sort of untoward or silly, or will make it through. And when we're sort of checking these at night, here's one from a school that have clearly done just that. They've had a bit of discussion in class, and then the answers and the comments that the children have sent. This is what Bruno would describe as a chunky comment. It's very good. There's a lot of thought going into them. They're expressing their own opinions. There's a bit of empathy, looking at, what the referee's job is, can be fairly difficult. And when these are all grouped together, you know that this has been done sort of as a homework. And that's the difference between when you just let the children go on independently, or a child just wanders on themselves. A lot of children just read these things at home themselves, and they type in what they want to watch or what they want to write, and that's absolutely fine. There's a bit of independent sort of non-solicited work. They've got their name, they've got their school, and they've got the comment up there. But when you do this for homework, when you come in the next day, the teacher from St. Eugene's Primary School today would have been very proud because of the quality of work that their children have done, and I'm sure they've praised the children, so much for the quality of their writing, and even. It's a very, very good way to meaningfully develop a pupil's writing. I know Bruno will talk about this a wee bit more, but what you're doing, instead of saying, right, I want you to take your exercise books and I want you to write me a couple of sentences about what you thought about this particular article that we watched in class. And that's fine, and they'll do that. But then the audience for that is is you and possibly, you know, a parent or guardian if they've checked over it at home. The difference here is the audience is now everyone who's logged on to the news desk in every school across Northern Ireland. So there's a lot of children are going to be seeing this comment, and that's a good thing to bring out, you know, to your class and to explain to them the importance of, you know, trying to present their best work because everybody sort of will have an opportunity to read this. So that's basically the nuts and bolts of what you can do with a news desk article that you would find on the front page, and you'll maybe just pick one of the three and run with that. But the main tab to look at when you are looking for particular content will be the news bank. So if we click on the news bank, there's an article archive that runs all the way down the side, and you can see the most recent stories are will be sort of published at the top. But if you're looking for something on a particular theme or topic, you will find it sort of all the way sort of down the side here. So if you're doing something on rainforests or reduce, reuse, recycle, natural disasters, you know, whatever it is you want to do. For example, there's the Titanic. So I know it's a very popular topic within Key Stage 2. So we have a whole series, 6 programs we made with EATV, for example, about the Titanic. So if we click on one of these, this is your World Around Us topic. Same idea. You've got your podcast at the start. You've got your video. In this case, it'll be looking at sort of different characters involved and associated with the Titanic, sort of people in character. This one here is about sort of a young boy who worked in the shipyard, explaining what it was like working on the Titanic. And then you've got your quality pictures and your information about building the ship. So again, you can see the advantage of having this click at your fingertips, that you've got all this resource and wealth of knowledge that you can have and play sort of in your classroom, or direct your children to go and read it independently or listen to it independently. Not every child is as enthusiastic or fluent reader, but they can all listen. So, I mean, let them listen and follow down and look at the pictures. They're going to get a good sense of what is happening. And then, hopefully they'll be able to even take part in the discussion or some of the talking and listening activities. And again, you've got your article activities. These are like nearly comprehension-y based ones. Again, studying the photograph, look at the differences between sort of then and now, and then another little video explaining what life was like in the shipyard. And then, of course, the children can all send in their comments. And again, when you see them grouped together like this, this is something that has been done. Chances are it's been done for homework. Unless they've been in a computer suite in school or something like that. So they've sent their comments in like that. So that's the news bank. Okay, so if you're looking for any of your topics, for to do with World Around Us, you're going to find most of the big hitting Key Stage 2 topics in there. For example, next week is World Space Week. We'll be putting articles up about that. But if you want to do more in space, find space, click on it here, and then you've got their whole range of activities that you can cherry pick to decide, yeah, this will suit my class, or this will fit in with a theme, or my class are going to be interested in this. It can be something you're going to build a sort of a unit of work around, or it could be something that will just interest them for 10 minutes. It'll be something, that'll be, the pupils will be prepared to sort of make their own comments about, will pay attention to, and then, you can leave it like that as well. So it's up to you, how you use it. There's news and pictures, we have videos, we have a competition coming out next week. Give you a little heads up on that. It's an endangered animals competition with a prize from Belfast Zoo. So there'll be details about that coming out on Monday, and that's for Key Stage 2. And then the last little section I want to look at before I hand over to Brona is the school reporter section. So if you click on the school reporter section, these are all articles and reports that have been written by pupils and sent in to us. So there's two different types. There's a front page story. And I think this is a front page story here. So what we've got is the pupil comes up with their own headline. So it's like its own front page of a newspaper. They've been looking at schools today and then schools in Victorian times. And then so you've got two little pieces of writing, two pictures, and they send it in, and it's a little sort of mock-up newspaper. That's called a sort of front page article. And then the other ones are what we call a headline report, which is basically one picture that the pupils find for themselves. And then in this case, it's quite a lengthy piece of writing, but it doesn't have to be that long at all. A few good sentences is absolutely fine. And you can see by the range of reports that are sent in, there's one obviously they're doing maybe Victorian topics, so that's obviously theme based. Someone who lives in the Banbridge area and is disgusted at the council workers going on strike. It's amazing what some children are, get passionate and enthused about. You'd expect, our favorite authors, our favorite animals, and there's a school that they all pick different birds, and they've done, little reports on that. But this one here, coming from a report on a day out in Portrush about Curry's Fun Park. So there's a piece of writing, quite a lengthy piece of writing goes with this, quite a nice piece. But the interesting piece in this is the pupil has recorded their own podcast.
A day at Curry's Fun Park, Portrush. On June 11th, 2022, a person I know by the name of Nancy turned 60. My mom told
So they have recorded their own podcast, which is basically them reading out their own article. It works quite well for articles. It works really well for poetry. If you're doing any poetry writing, if you can get the children to record themselves reading their own poems, and then we upload those as your headline articles there, that works very nicely too. But how do you go about doing this? Well, the same way as you go about doing any piece of writing with your class. It sounds strange to say, but don't come near the news desk until the pupil has got the piece of writing done and they've got the photograph to go with it, the image that they want to include with it. So they've done it saved it on a Word document. They've saved their picture, means they can check over it. You can check over it whatever way you want to work it. But once they have their piece of writing done, click on Create a Headline Story. Then there's a little template that they fill in. So they type whatever the headline of their story is, browse for their image. If they've done the recording, their MP3 recording of it, browse for their podcast, that'll come up there. And then in the story section, just copy and paste what they have already written from their Word document or whatever. Copy and paste it in there, age, password for my school, and submit. Shouldn't take them any more than a minute to upload that. But it means then that once they come in again, we check it and we can share it and we can see the whole range of different articles that have been done. And the search button at the top, if you type in the name of your school, what you'll get when you click on the search button, you'll get all the articles that your school has written, with the most recent ones up at the top. And I've picked this school because I know they've got hundreds. They're well down the road in their news desk journey, and it's a big school. So don't be put off by that. But it just shows you that all your school's articles, will be together, so that if you are ever asked to produce any evidence of your literacy work or ICT work, remember, by your pupils doing comments and doing these articles, what they're doing is they're exhibiting, they're exchanging, they're evaluating. You're very quietly building the 5 E's, into sort of classroom practice by them regularly commenting on the news desk. So look, that's the, I suppose, a quick cook's tour of the main highlights. What I'm going to do, I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to hand back over to Brona. And for those of you who don't know Brona is P5 teacher in St. McCartans in Loughin Island. She's been using the news desk for a number of years extremely well. And I just thought it would be very valuable and interesting for you to hear from a classroom practitioner about her experiences, of using the news desk and how her children benefit from it. So you'll be delighted to know I'm going to dry up, and I'll hand over to Brona.
Okay, thank you, David. Hello, everyone. Jarlath, could you just upload my presentation? Can Jarlath hear me, David, do you think? Oh, yeah.
I can.
Okay, thank you, Jarlath, thank you. Hello, everyone. My name's Brona Mason. I'm from St. McCartans Primary School, and I teach P5. Before we talk about news desk, I appreciate how busy September is and how mad September is. And we were at the very beginning of our journey where our school did not use news desk, and our journey has been probably 3 or 4 years. So we're 3 and 4 years down the line. So I hope this little PowerPoint presentation helps in some way for everybody on here today. I'm just going to click. Hopefully this will work. Okay, so this is the icon that you will see on your My School when you log in, and the children will also see it. So for us at St. McCartans, News Desk provides topical, age-appropriate articles with quality images, podcasts, and activities daily. It is a place to explore current issues and curriculum topics through fact files and videos. It's not just for Key Stage 2, it's for Key Stage 1 because they have junior news desk as well. So when the children come into P5, they already know all about news desk, and they've already commented as well. So the news desk, it's a moderated platform for pupils to express views and opinions and have their own articles read by pupils across the province, a wider audience. And our experience, I have had children where they have created a report like what David had said, a headline story, or even on School Reporter, for a homework task. They've come in the next day in the morning into school, and they are just walking on cloud nine because they're totally motivated. They came in, one child in particular came in and asked me, where is Enniskillen? There was a child from Enniskillen read my article. And really that for me was, he was totally motivated to go back onto News Desk independently. It's bright, it's attractive, pupil-friendly site. It is an ideal first step in engaging with a range of options on the My School platform. It offers pupils a safe and moderated school networking type experience by liking the articles, commenting on the issues, and just giving their own personal opinions. I think as a teacher, we know and we can trust that the material is suitable and it's appropriate. News desk staff moderate and publish pupils' work. Sometimes the boys and girls in my class will say, Miss Mason, my article's not up yet. And I said, guys, they're working, the news desk staff are working, give it a couple of minutes or give it a couple of hours. It is such a versatile resource, can be used in a variety of ways. And at the very beginning, we used it initially when kids come into class, we just listened to the story. We listened to the headline story. And that was 10 minutes. That was all we did. For writing or research, whole class lessons, supporting individual pupils, computer suite activity or homework. It is the amount of work that you can get from News Desk is just, it's wonderful. It really is. So at the very beginning, even now, we're 3-4 years down the line, children listen to news desks in year 1 right through to year 7. They read the stories. Some of the children read it with the teacher, some of the class read it together. Initially, they left comments, and it was initially 2 to 3 words and 1,001 emojis, to the point where I had to say to the boys and girls, look, maybe just have 1 emoji or 2 emojis. But for me, they were interacting with News Desk. But initially the comments were, this is good, or I like this. It was very much, we could see the transition from when they were consumers, so they were reading, they were listening, to when they became the writers and the journalists of Newsdesk. So they were creating the story, they were the author, they were the journalist, they were uploading their stories. And to be honest, it was with I and the teachers in our school, we kind of encouraged it. The benefits when they saw their work uploaded onto Seesaw, or sorry, onto Newsdesk, beg your pardon, and they were able to see all the different comments. David had said earlier about the chunky comments. So to get away from the 2 to 3 words and 1,001 emojis, I introduced chunky comments with a chunky Kit Kat as a little bit of a treat or a motivator. To give the children a sense of ownership and responsibility, that when they created a comment, it was a comment that was justified and reasons behind their justification. The children, in my class, I teach P5, and it was like, if you write a chunky comment, the likelihood is you'll get a chunky Kit Kat. And for me, that was a real motivator too. Self-esteem was amazing in our school, right through from P2, right up to P7. Children wanting to go on to Newsdesk independently. They were writing for a wider audience and no longer writing for the teacher. I did a topic 2 years ago. It was about turkeys. I had a child who really didn't want to come to school. He was a school refuser. His parents had a turkey farm. Christmas time, it was really, really busy. He used to come in every day and tell me, Miss Mason, I have so many turkeys. I have so many turkeys. At one point, I really thought he was going to bring a turkey into my classroom. Thankfully, he didn't. But I felt that I needed to create a document for Newsdesk for this little boy, all about turkeys, because he knew everything about turkeys. He created the document collaborating with all his peers in the class. Now, this was done as a homework. They collaborated on OneNote or Teams, I think it was, and created the article about all the different types of turkeys, what they eat, what they look like. And for this little boy who saw his work being published or put up onto Newsdesk, and getting comments from children in Antrim, in Armagh, Enniskillen, he came back in, his mum, and just turned around and says, I can't believe he has totally changed the motivation because his story was on Newsdesk. This is a very good article, and I've also created a link. So hopefully, Jarlath, if you can send the link or attach it. It's the C2K Newsdesk guidance. Now, David did talk about the 5 E's, and I think everybody knows in Key Stage 1 and 2 all about the 5 E's when it comes to ICT. If you can do anything, is to download this booklet, C2K Newsdesk guidance. It will give you ideas, topics. It is just a very good booklet to have because it explains what you're doing. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. As teachers, you don't have time to do it. But if you go on, download this article and take out what you need for your class, because if you're doing a topic, why not just get the children to work together and upload it onto Newsdesk? You know, maybe just even listen to an article on Newsdesk. This booklet will actually go through step by step all about the Newsdesk and what SIA are looking for. If any schools are doing tasks, there are also tasks on the Newsdesk guidance as well. It's very
Sorry,
good.
Brona, can I interject just for a second in there? That document, yes, there's the link, and thanks for putting that up, Jarlath. Also, if you go to the very bottom of the Newsdesk, there's tips for teachers. And that guidance will be in tips for teachers. By all means, take a wee look at it. It is in the final stages of being revamped by SIA, and I've had a little glimpse of some of the ideas and things. They've streamlined it slightly and they've added things to it, and it is fantastic. So that will be hopefully out and available sort of beginning of October, or not too far into October as well. So I would definitely sort of, point you in that direction, sort of take a wee look in sort of middle of October as well to see that. And it'll certainly be on the SIA website as well. But it's just such a range of brilliant ideas that that they've come up with. It really is extremely valuable.
Yeah, and I think the good thing about Newsdesk being it's such a good platform is that what you're doing in your classroom, if you're doing your narrative writing, if you're doing report writing, I'll be doing my the water cycle. And yes, we will write an article in the book, but we'll also write that article, upload it onto Seesaw. So other children can read it, other children can make a comment, but also children in my class can say, that's my article. And just getting the comments, the children reading their comments, making a comment on it. But I think what I would say is just take one step at a time. We are 3-4 years down the line. If you haven't used Newsdesk, just put it on for 5 or 10 minutes after lunch tomorrow. Now, I know I went down this morning to 4 children in our school to record them, but I don't think, Charlotte, shall I check to see if it will work?
I think we're having difficulty with the videos, but what I will do, Brona, is when I'm sending everyone out the evaluation, if you don't mind, I can send the videos along with it.
Yeah, and this is not me. These children I had asked them about their Newsdesk. What did they think of Newsdesk? Last year, my P5s, who are currently now P6, I'd asked them to write words on the whiteboard about what they thought about it. Captivating, addictive, you can read it, fascinating, interesting, informative, gripping, and amazing. And it is all those and so much more, because for me, Newsdesk is part of our day in school, like break time, like lunchtime. Now we tend to use it after lunch, probably about 10-20 minutes. But as homework as well, I would set a task that they'd have to leave a comment on one of the articles. It may not be front page article, but it may be an article that in a topic that we're covering. So yeah, Jarlath, that's me actually. So I hope,
that's great, Brona. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Brona and David while they're here? Because don't suffer in silence. It is one of those, and I was an English teacher in my school life, and a post-primary English teacher, and I definitely used Newsdesk for Key Stage 3. It was fantastic. It was a great resource that we really enjoyed using, and the thing that I flagged up even in our conversation beforehand was you're safe using it. You can rely on it. You don't have to worry about them finding something that they shouldn't. If they're reading a newspaper. So it's a really brilliant resource, and it's underused. It definitely is underused, and I don't know why. But I think sometimes people look at those things on the My School, because even the supporting learning site that we have is underused as well. No questions?
One of the things I just want to throw in here, one of the things that Brona mentioned, and to me it's nearly the key to it. If you start off with the children listening to stories, listening to the articles, and then you're moving, the idea is you move them along till they become contributors. So you're moving from consumers of the Newsdesk into contributors, and that is where you are really going to see the big leap in standard of writing, especially if you as teachers are saying, saw your comment that you put up the other night, it was brilliant, really good, or try it as a homework. So then you can see, you've got a whole group of comments that your children have written, and that it's motivating for them, to see their names and their schools. But it's there at your fingertips, and if you've got 10 minutes, use it. If you want to build a theme of lessons over 6 weeks, use it,
We've got a question here, David. Is it okay for all pupils to put on the same report, or is it one topic, or is it one per topic per class?
Yeah, there's a fine line here. What we bear in mind that children read other children's reports. So no child wants to read 30 reports about my trip to the Ulster Museum that all says exactly the same thing. So, I mean, if you have a piece of writing like that, look down the road of the likes of Google Classroom, where every child can put their report up there, and you can all see them. one of the things you may have noticed was a class was doing a topic on birds, which is fine because they all picked a different bird, and then they wrote a little bit of what they'd researched and found out, and they photographed their drawings that they'd done. So I mean, if it's a topic of birds, if they're all doing something different, that's fine. If you're all doing the Vikings, maybe get a group to work together on. We'll do Viking homes, and we'll do a report on Viking clothes, and we'll do the raiders and invaders, and whatever way you want to break it up, so that we are fine with 2 or 3 names being on a report. And that comes in quite a lot, by Sam, Joe, and Ella. It doesn't have to be just a single report. So we know that that's something those children have been working on, in a small group, and that's fine as well.
Even for something like, a big school trip, depending on whether you're a Google or Microsoft school, you could build a Google site and have all their work on it. Or a Microsoft Sway is something that EA as an organization have used quite a lot. And I know myself that even when I was teaching, I made a Microsoft Sway for our school formal many, many moons ago. And the parents were able to follow the progress all through the night as I was taking photographs and uploading it to Sway. So it was almost like a live document. But, it's great for project work, and Google Sites as well is another fantastic thing for project work. So you could maybe integrate those. And then quite often what you could do is even, nominate. I used to have Oscars for creative work, and the class might pick the best 3, having read them all. So you've got that peer assessment element built in there as well. So there's plenty of scope to work with it, and then almost have an upload to Newsdesk as one of the prizes for it.
Yeah, but Jarlath,
that's a nice way of looking at it, Jarlath. Yeah.
Yeah, but even David, also the activities that you have at the bottom of each topic, of each page is just so beneficial as well for the teachers don't have to create questions; they're already there.
And if any of you were at any of the courses that happened around the country just before term started, looking at sort of how to use the Surface Pros, one of the main things that come out of that was that use the content that is in the Newsdesk. So if you want to pick one of the topics, copy and paste the content, take it, put it into a classroom where you can either write your own questions, or you can get children to sort of do their own activities around it. But the content is there. Take it. It's there for you to take.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be used just on the Newsdesk. Look at other on other outlets that you can take the text and the images and the content from.
And also you could use Microsoft Forms as well, creating a quiz, 5 questions. You could even have the multiple choice, and you can keep it for next year.
Yeah, my kids loved filling in forms, even if it was an assessment.
Yeah.
They just loved filling in forms. It's like, do you want to do my tax returns?
But it's a quiz and it's fun as well. Yeah.
You can fill in my Go Compare from a car insurance if you're so keen on filling in forms. But they really did, and I really liked the fact that there's certain elements of forms. As an English teacher, it was nice for me to mark, but what I got back from those forms when I was doing comprehension tasks, for instance, I would see weaknesses in certain areas. And if I was teaching, off the top of my head, we did do this. We had Midterm Break by Seamus Heaney, and it was just testing for understanding. But they couldn't get, what was it? A couple of the metaphors they couldn't get, and I thought, right, that's on me because nobody's got it. So as a teacher, having that feedback as well and thinking, right, I'm going to have to teach that again. It's really informative, and as you see, you've got it for next year, and it's something I've put our Microsoft evaluation form there, and it's really handy for me. When I'm giving the metrics back, the breakdown of the answers is fantastic. So and Google Forms is exactly the same if you're a Google school, and you only have to create them once. And as David said about using content, it's content you can rely on, and it's been through various processes to make sure it's reliable. We live in a time of fake news as well, and websites and that you maybe can't trust, and it saves time. It saves time if you're looking for an article for a comprehension, and it's there. So we're all looking ways to save time and be more efficient in our work. So there's a vast resource there in Newsdesk, and it really is brilliant. Any more questions? I don't think we have. I think I've scared them off, have I? So all that's left for me to say is thank you very much to Brona and David. I love the news desk sessions because sometimes it's sort of, I have to confess, I do them with my daughter. Things on news desk, because we sat and watched something last night about an Infinity on Netflix, and I was thinking, this is a wee bit above my maths pay grade. And Eva was like, can we finish this tomorrow night? And I was like, and my wife was sitting going, goodness me, what have you started? So she wants to work for NASA this week. But you know, I can go on then and look articles that'll interest her on this week's topic of interest. So thank you very much, David. Once again, brilliant. And Brona, thank you. Good to meet you, even albeit virtually.
Yeah.
Next week's session might be of interest to people in primary schools, but it's a restorative practice session. Now, the practitioner who's going to share is involved with a post-primary school, but having said that, the principles of restorative practice will work right the way down. So it might be something that you really want to look at, because I know in legislation it's going to be coming in that we're going to be looking as an organisation much more at restorative practice. So everybody, if you could please fill in my evaluation, that ensures the continuation of TPL Thursdays. Hopefully we haven't kept you too long. Safe home to everybody, and thank you very much again, David and Brona.
Okay, thank you, Jeremy.
And thank you everyone for your time, much appreciated.
Thank you, bye.